Welcome to session 4. The session 4, now we will learn about what are the names of the lands that have been existing in the ancient period. Two of the words we often use for our country are India and Bharat. The word India came from the Indus, called Sindhu in Sanskrit language. Let us try to find out Iran and Greece in our atlas. To make it convenient for you, I have kept the picture on the screen marking Iran in white shade, and followed to the extreme left we have at the edge is the Greece. Iran, then Turkey, then we have Greece. So these two countries were asked for us to mark on the atlas for us to know it. If you have atlas, you can just open it and see it. If not, it's already displayed on the screen. You can just follow the flow. Why only Iran and Greece? Why means the Iranians and the Greeks who came through the northwestern direction about 2500 years ago and were familiar with the Indus and called us as Hindos or the Indos. So they named us as Hindos or Indos. Now we all need to get a doubt. Is Iran present during that time? Because India's name only we got in 1947, or way back we used to call it as Hindustan. Now how can you say that Iran people have come and told us this? Yes, it's a fantastic question. Appropriate doubt. Now the point is, Iranians are not known as Iran in the past. They are known as Persians. Greeks were there from the ancient period, from the Athens and Sparta's period. But Iranians are known as Persians. So Iran's old name is Persia. So the Persians are the people who actually moved towards the northwestern direction of them and entered into India, and there they are familiar with the river Indus. So they used to call us Hindos or Indos. Land to the east of the river was called India. For them, the land which is on the other side of the river Indus is called India. Later, the name Bharata was used for a group of people who lived in northwestern part of present day India, who were mentioned in the Rigveda. The earliest composition of Vedas in Sanskrit language can be dated to 3500 years ago. Later it was used for the entire country. Among the Vedas, the first Veda is Rigveda. So the name of our country has been arriving from Sindhu, that is in Sanskrit language. The Iranians and the Greeks, or Persians and the Greeks, who came from northwestern direction 2500 years ago to India, are familiar with the river Indus and called it as Hindos or Indos. Later it started to be called as India. The name Bharata was used for the group of people who lived in the northwestern part, were mentioned in the Greek Veda, which is the earliest composition in Sanskrit and which can be dated back to 3500 years. This was used later for the entire country. So India got its names as Indoi, Sindoi and Bharata like this. Finding about our past. What can we find about our past? There are several ways of finding about our past. How can we find about our past? Because you can see on the screen on the left hand side, I have kept a page where you will look into the past through the present. So you try to attempt something by looking into the present and try to figure out what happened it at the back or before hundreds and thousands of years. It's really a very difficult job. So what all that you can find out, and how can you find out? One is, in search of the past, you can focus on reading books that were written long ago. That could be a good source of information for us. Then we can also look at the manuscripts which were written by the earliest people, and the word manu means in Latin hand. So basically hand scripts which were written on the screen. You can also see it clearly that those all are handwritten scripts. They were usually written on a palm leaf or on the specially prepared bark of a tree known as birch, which grows in the Himalayas. Now, over the years, the manuscripts were eaten away by insects. This is a sad part. So, if you want to read now, these manuscripts are eaten away by insects. Not all, but some. Some were destroyed. Oh, so sad. But many have survived. Good, thank God. Often preserved in temples and monasteries. So where do we get these manuscripts? We get the manuscripts which are safe and preserved in many temples and monasteries. So these are written on palm leaves or a specially prepared bark of a tree known as birch, which is grown only in the Himalayan region. This can be a main source of information for us about the ancient period, about India or any other place or civilizations of the ancient period. We can also come to know that the books, what did they deal about? Mainly, either the Vedas or the manuscripts dealt about all kinds of subjects. What kind of subjects they dealt in detail are the religious beliefs and practices, the lives of the kings, medicines and science. So basically they wrote about religious beliefs, how we have to do the prayers, what are the set norms, how we have to do prayer for a deity. There are different prayer patterns what we follow for different deities. So all those beliefs, practices, how the king's life has to be, how the kings used to live, what are the medicines that are available for us in the nature, medicinal plants, and about the science. Besides this, there are epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are very famous in our country. The poems, plays, many of these were written in Sanskrit language. So what was the initial language of our country? That is Sanskrit language. That's why all the epics, all the Mahabharatas, everything were written in Sanskrit language. Others were written in Prakrit language. So the common people's language is Prakrit language. The book language is Sanskrit language. And they also used to speak Tamil in few areas. So we can also study these inscriptions which are written. So these are written on relatively hard surfaces. The inscriptions are written relatively on hard surfaces such as stones or metals. This also you might have observed when you visited any historical place or any temple where they put these inscriptions there, mostly the ancient temples, where which king has donated, on whose name they have built, who has built, all such details we get. Sometimes the kings got their orders inscribed so that people could see, read and obey them. Yes, we also heard that Ashoka has inscribed many of his orders like plant trees, help people, serve each other, like that, so that people can read that and obey them. There are other kinds of inscriptions as well, where men and women, including kings and queens, recorded what they did. So for example, kings often kept records of the victories in battles. Like for example, if they conquered any new land, so they used to come to that land and they used to build a place and they inscribe there that this land is occupied by so and so in so and so period, so that in the history the other people also can come to know about this. Like that we used to see the history sessions. So what do we come to know from our past? How did India get its names like this? We studied in the session 4. I hope you all like this one. Thank you.